Philosophical Mysticism, a Spiritual Handbook for Mankind, Simplified into 100 Short Lessons. Lesson 3, Anthropology of Mind. So let's keep going with this. So, beginning of mind. So this section that I'm talking about in the book, it's extremely speculative. I was reluctant to even write it or include it in the book, but I feel like it had to be done. So, I mean, if we're going to tell the story of mind, we need to go back as far as mind goes. And the first remnants of mind likely go back millions of years. So the problem is, I mean, if we're going back millions of years ago to where mind sort of first begins, I mean, we really don't know. I mean, not even anthropologists really know what was in the mind of our sort of like Homo habilis, for instance, or one of our ancestors going millions of years back. I mean, they might have some idea about the size of their brain or their body size or how their body worked. But as far as their mind, what was going on inside, it's sort of inner workings of Homo habilis' mind, for instance, that you just really can't know. So I admit this is probably the most speculative section in the book, but had to be done. So you're going to tell the story of mind, you got to do it. You got to do it from the beginning, even if it involves a little speculation. So let's sort of just go from there. So looking at the hominids, so the beginning of the sort of human family, it goes back a little further than Homo habilis, but let's just, in my book, I'm starting with habilis. If there is a candidate for having a mind where it sort of begins, I think that's really where it starts. In hominids, especially starting with habilis, they have some unique features. Since after, leaving the jungle or whatever and venturing out, they left with opposable thumbs, bipedal walking, complex social hierarchies, and advanced color vision. The most advanced or the most developed in the mammalian class. And a lot of people don't realize, they think that they don't realize that humans, for mammals, have really, really, really good color vision. It's better than cats. It's better than dogs. Of course, like eagles or something might have it a little better, but for mammals, humans have the most sophisticated color vision of all mammals, at least daytime color vision of all mammals. And this is really important. So these other things are really important too, but in terms of figuring out the mind, at least from my view, I think this idea or this fact that the hominids left with advanced color vision is really important. And the explanation here is so they could find fruit or whatever on trees. But whatever the case, that we left with really, really good color vision, at least daytime color vision. And why this really matters in terms of telling the story of mind or the beginning of mind is because advanced color vision allows for and leads to vivid memories. So your vision itself influences both the memories that you might have and the mental images that you might form, even though we're not at mental images just yet. So in terms of what's going on in the heads of humans or our ancestors, it's a lot more sophisticated than what's going on in the head of like a dog. So we do have these, because of our vision or really sophisticated vision, humans are also going to have, as a byproduct, we're going to have really, really vivid, clear memories. So we have this. So we have advanced color vision. We have the vivid memories, but that's not really enough. I mean, that's important. It's good to have, but that's not really going to get us from point A to point B. So to get, in my view, to get from point A to point B, we need something else. And this sort of extra thing that sort of sets things into motion after millions of years is something that I call the emotive leap. And the emotive leap is, at some point, for whatever the reason it may be, in my view, humans or hominids, or at least Homo habilis, became highly emotional, more so than any other animal. It's not even close. There's no other animal that has the same sophistication of emotions that humans do. So we are the emotive ape. And my somewhat controversial claim here is that this emotive leap happened as far back as habilis. So no one would really disagree with the idea that humans are very emotional, more so than any other animal. But my somewhat controversial claim in the book, in this section that we're talking about, is that this emotive leap happened as far back, millions of years ago, as far back as Homo habilis. So in terms of sort of putting this together, sort of connecting the pieces, we might say that vivid memories plus complex emotions are really the catalyst to get us from point A to point B. I'll also say that vivid memories plus complex emotions also lead to archetypes in the mind or in the brain or in the head or whatever. So archetypes, in the sort of Jungian sense, are the universal patterns, models, symbols, motifs, dispositions shared by all humans. Mainly they're sort of these ancestral memories that all humans have. And I'll argue as when we get into more detail about the archetypes, I'll argue that these are going to be innate memories. And by innate here, it means that we're sort of born with these memories, or at least we're born with a sort of mold for these memories to form. So with the sort of the causal story here is that vivid memories and complex emotions, when sort of brought together through whatever means, are going to lead to us developing archetypes. And in the history of mind, this gets us the very first type of mind, the unconscious mind, filled with archetypes. So in looking for the story of mind, this is sort of where we begin, with something like an unconscious mind. Of course, habilis isn't going to have consciousness. Habilis isn't going to have ideas as we normally take ideas to be. But they do have, or at least I'm arguing that habilis did have an unconscious mind. Or at least something coming from habilis had an unconscious mind. Not a conscious mind, but an unconscious mind. And what makes it a mind rather than just sort of emptiness is that the mind is going to have these archetypes as content. All right, so we got point A to point B. What about point C? How did we get to where we are now? And the big question is, did ideas, consciousness, or language come next? What came first? Well, the truth is they likely evolved together. They kind of built off of each other. But for philosophical mysticism, for the theory in the book to be consistent, ideas require consciousness, with a few exceptions, which I'll go into later. So if we're trying to sort of connect the dots here and figure out a sort of pattern or figure out the sort of story, at least if philosophical mysticism is true, we can say that consciousness came before ideas. So ideas are going to come after consciousness. Language. This is not really clear. Language is a little tricky. One reason is that, for instance, we could train chimps, chimpanzees, or gorillas to use simple sign language. And many consider sort of simple sign language to be a type of language. So it's a little hard to say where language falls in this mold. But I will point out that language benefits greatly from ideas. It benefits greatly from consciousness. And very sophisticated language likely came after consciousness and ideas were already on their way. So it's sort of, to really have language as we think of it today, you're going to need ideas and consciousness. So we can sort of place it in a sort of functional sense. We could place it later on. It's also the case from the fossil record that only Homo sapiens have the physiological capacity for spoken language. So it is going to come much later. So thus, with some ado, we arrive at modern man, his brain filled to the brim with vibrant memories and grandiose ideas, and this is what I take a mind to be. And that's sort of the connection that I'm making in this lesson.